Welcome to Conversation with Buddy. I'm your host, Buddy Puckett. Well, thank you so much for being here each week. We really appreciate you. We're grateful. And we know that God has big plans for you as well. So, hey, before we dive into this morning's guest, I'm going to read a Bible verse to you real quick. Hopefully this will encourage you as well. So in Romans 8:37, it says, "Yet in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us." So if you don't know that Jesus loves you, he loves you. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to introduce my new guest and friend, Ryan Rasmussen. Welcome, Ryan.
Thanks for having me here, buddy.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here, man. We talked about this for a little while, and here we are.
We did. We talked about it. We made it happen.
Did you have to pray about this to decide to be here today?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Was God saying, do it, or what was it like?
I think it was an open door. It was kind of not a shining light from heaven saying, yeah, this is what you're meant to do, but an open door to share my story. And
yeah. It wasn't audible from God going, Ryan, go.
No, that's not how God's worked in my life typically with lights and audible. And
Yeah.
It's open doors. It's apply yourself. And
would you say on your open door, you still have to move forward before he opens that door? Because is that how are you saying that, or what do you mean?
I mean opportunities, basically.
Okay.
So take take advantage of the opportunities that you have. Take advantage of what's he's put before you. Yeah. The time, talent, and abilities that he's given you, and then how do you best apply those? How do you make the next right decision?
Yeah.
Move forward.
Well, we have a lot to unpack today.
Sure.
You and I've only known each other for maybe a few months.
I've known who you are for a while, but
and apparently we've met. I'm so sorry, man, but I mean, I've heard your name for a very, very, very long time. Sure. I thought you were like a 60-year-old guy. Just you're like this famous guy, been around Salem for a long time, but you're a young guy. You're younger than me, and you're famous. So there you go.
Well, there's my grandpa said a number of years ago before he passed that a good name is to be desired above gold or silver. So good name in the community. I praise God for that.
Praise God for that. No, Ryan Rasmussen is a good name. So that's awesome. Well, hey, let's talk about you. We're going to unpack a lot. You have there's lots of questions I'm going to ask you here, but
sure.
Let's start with where Ryan was born. Where was home when you were born? And tell us all about that.
Haven't moved far. I was born in Portland before, I think it was kindergarten. We moved down to Salem.
Okay.
And I went to Rosedale, not a school anymore, Crossler, Sprague.
Yeah.
Didn't go far for college. That's Corbin. So
man, you did not go far.
I did not go far. Wow. I've traveled, but I have not really moved far.
Yeah. So you're a Sprague graduate. When did you graduate from Sprague?
2005.
Okay. I'm a little older than you. I graduated in 86. So
I graduated in the 2000s. So.
I know. I know. I was in the other century.
Yeah.
Crazy. Okay. So tell me about family life. How did mom and dad impact you? What are the lessons you learned from them? And then how do you use that today?
Oh, man. The first thing that jumps to mind, work hard, play hard.
Play hard.
Dad was work hard, play hard, sun up to sundown. Yeah. And then if you got a spare moment, he's like, hey, let's go climb a mountain. Like, man, we just poured concrete for 3 days. Like, you want to go climb a mountain?
Seriously?
Yeah.
That was your dad.
That's how we grew up.
Work hard, play hard.
100 miles an hour all the time.
Yeah.
He taught us that, instilled that. And so that work ethic has run through. The people who know me today go, man, how do you keep so many things going on your plate? Well, I don't know how else to do it. It's work hard, play hard, man.
Yeah, your dad taught you well. I would ask the same question because I know you got your hands in a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. I'm exhausted knowing what you do. So how do you do all those things, man? I'm maybe a little jealous, maybe. I'm not sure, but it's pretty cool.
Careful being jealous.
Careful, okay.
Yeah.
All right, not jealous, but I think it's cool, though, that you have a rhythm to your life and your dad taught you well. Mm-hmm. Is your mom and dad still alive?
My dad passed 13 years ago.
Okay.
I mean, we can get into that story if you want at some point. My mom's still around, loves being grandma. I've got 4 kids.
Okay.
My sister has 3 girls, so she's grandma. She works at my kids' school, gets to see them all the time. Prayer warrior.
Come on.
Yeah, she's awesome.
I love that. Are you, you say you have a sister. Are you the older or the younger?
I'm the oldest. I got a little brother and then a little sister.
Okay, which one? So you?
So me, brother, sister.
Okay. What age difference between your brother?
My brother and I are about 2 years,
Okay.
and then it's 5 years between me and my sister.
Okay.
Maybe
So
6 years.
I love the birth order. Have you ever read the birth order book? But firstborns are different than secondborns. How are you and your brother different?
We're different, man.
I mean, are they like way different or just?
Yeah. I'm more driven, work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
He's more laid back, I would say.
Yeah.
He's an X-ray tech up in McMinnville, so
Okay.
he, kind of a technical kind of person,
Okay.
and then more go with the flow than I am.
Yeah.
I want to make this happen, and let's go over here and do this and do that deal, and
Make it happen.
yeah.
Like there's an end date to that. How about your sister? What is she like compared to you and your brother?
Oh, she's the artistic one. So
Okay.
I got like the math smarts and
Yeah.
the admin kind of thinking. My brother's a little more laid back, and my sister is an artist. So
Okay.
she teaches art classes at a school. She does like freelance. She's illustrated books,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Cool.
Paintings. She does commissioned paintings.
Wow.
She puts on like the wine and paint. What do they call it? Sip and paint.
Okay. Yeah.
So she'll do that with vineyards and locations around the valley, and
Good for her.
that's her gig. That's her thing.
It's funny. Same parents,
Yeah,
wired completely different.
totally
And I
different.
love how God does that. I have an older sister too. I'm a second born. I'm probably like your brother. I'm not laid back though. I'm driven.
Mhm.
But it is interesting. I'm not a perfectionist. Are you a perfectionist?
Yeah, especially for myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's good. I mean, I can see that. I mean, it's why you do what you do is because you get it done and it has to be done perfectly. Me, I mean, yeah, I want to do a great job. Don't get me wrong, but I don't struggle with perfectionism, if that makes sense.
That shows up in the birth order thing.
Yeah.
If you do the Enneagrams, I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, I can't
Come
get
on,
into
let's-
the whole conversation because I don't know it well enough. But I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
I'm a perfectionist type person
Yeah.
that's very hard on myself.
What
I
numbers-
don't need you to be hard on me. I'm hard enough on
you're
myself.
good, yeah. Okay, what number is that on Enneagram?
It's either 1 or 9. I'm 1 wing 9
I
or
think
9
it's
wing 1.
I think it's a 9 because I'm an 8 wing 9.
Okay.
So that's interesting. Okay. It's good to
One
know
of
that
those
this
things
is,
floating around in my head somewhere.
Yeah. All right, tell me about school growing up, sports, music. What'd you do? What was your activity?
Oh, my musical ability is limited to listening to it, so
Hey,
we can shut that one down
okay,
right
done.
there.
All right. I hear you loud and clear. I wish I had some. I don't know about you, but
Yeah.
How about
No,
sports?
my kids have incredible music ability, but it didn't come from me.
Yeah.
Sports, man, I played a little bit of everything, some roller hockey in the summers. Our family was big hockey fans. My grandparents had tickets to the Winterhawks,
Wow.
season tickets, so they'd take the grandkids up there, and that was kind of their unplug and spend time with the grandkids thing. So down here, well, there's no ice rink. Throw on some rollerblades,
Yeah.
play on asphalt somewhere or something like that. But some of that, t-ball, basketball, 1 year of football in middle school, a little bit of this, that, and the other. But
Right.
I was never going to go pro.
That wasn't your calling.
No, my calling was more like math
Okay.
But yeah, got out there and
Yeah.
outside and did stuff. And
Yeah. Are you a chess player?
I was in. I mean, I guess I was in chess clubs.
Okay.
I played chess. I know chess.
that's the math. I get that.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, probabilities and
Yeah.
thinking 3 steps ahead and that sort of
That's
stuff.
pretty
So,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah. All right. So high school, Sprague. You
Yep.
graduate, you go to Corbin. What made you pick Corbin as a college to go to?
Oh, I think like a lot of high school kids, you go, what are a couple things I might want to do? Well, math, accounting was one of them. Corbin's got a good accounting program. I knew Bryce Bernard in charge of that. Grew up with Jason, one of his kids, so followed friends to Corbin, going to get a degree in something that I knew. It was kind of, at the time, it was computer science or accounting or something like that, something with numbers, something with that I could apply my talents to. And so that's where I ended up because it was close to home. There were people there. 5 of us lived in the dorm room my freshman year, and
Sounds
off
like
we went.
Sounds like a party. Now, I know Bryce Bernard pretty well. Good guy.
Great guy.
He's been out there, for 40 years now? Something like that?
Long enough I'd lose count.
Yeah, exactly. 35 or 40, but that's cool. Did you know what you wanted to be when you went to college?
I did not bounce around majors.
Yeah.
It was business accounting and
Period.
yeah, this fits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jumped into public accounting while I was in Corbin.
Okay.
Okay, I like this.
You like it?
Yeah.
It's funny. I was business, accounting or finance. That was really the thing. So, the accounting classes were really early in the morning, though, if I remember right. And
They are. They're Bryce made sure that we knew how to get up in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I skipped a lot of those classes.
Yeah.
Especially senior year. I went and worked accounting for a public accounting firm Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Yeah.
And Bryce's classes were Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I was in the office instead, and then we did carpet cleaning nights and weekends on top of that, and it was busy.
Work hard, man.
Yeah,
So you
work
worked
hard, play
during
hard.
college, it sounds like. Making money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that. So what's your thoughts on kids today who mom and dad pay for college and stuff like that? What's your thoughts on that? I'm just
I think if it's something that you can apply, great, go for it. Go. If I have a passion and I have a gifting in this area and I need a degree to apply that, go for it.
Yeah.
Now, as a GM of a manufacturing facility and having the trades, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, knowing you can make real good money there, our site crew makes good money.
Yeah.
If you don't have a passion for something and you're going to college to go to college because everybody goes to college, I think I would encourage you to think twice about that.
Yeah.
What brings joy? What brings passion? What brings life? And then pursue that. And that doesn't necessarily look like going to college.
Yeah.
Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't.
Yeah.
And why go to college, spend that money, and then go, you know what? I'm not going to use that degree. I want to do this over here.
Yeah.
But now I have 6 figures of debt to pay off.
A lot of kids are doing that. They're going to college, and maybe it's the parents pushing them. I don't know, or the society's pushing them. I don't really know because I don't know what's next. Go to college. Cool. I love the idea of college too. I went to college.
Sure.
But just to go to college because your buddy's going, and now you end up with 6 figures of debt, and you have 3 different degrees or started 3 different degrees, but you didn't know where to.
Especially if you started 3 and didn't finish any of them.
Exactly. So that's the challenge. But
Yeah.
okay, so let's move into kids. I want to know the names, your age of your kids, their names from oldest to youngest, and then we'll dive into that.
Do you want that on Scantron? We can do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Zoe's my oldest. She's 13.
Yeah.
And then Ziva is 10. She'll be 11. It's not quite June yet. So July, which isn't quite next month, but she'll be 11 soon.
Okay.
Eli is 9 and Micah is 7.
Okay. Zoe and Ziva.
Yep.
That's cute. I like that.
Yeah. So Zoe is Zoe Jane Grace. And Zoe is gift from God.
Yeah.
And Jane is life. So it's life, gift from God. And then the girls have 2 names, 2 middle names.
Yeah, 2 middle, yeah.
And then Ziva Joy David.
Okay.
David was because she was the first grandchild born after my dad, David Rasmussen, died. And so we wanted to incorporate and honor him in her name.
Yeah.
But put a little bit of a feminine twist to that.
David, yeah. I'm like, where's David coming?
So there's a lot of people who are like, what is that? Is it NCIS that has Ziva David?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Like, yeah, I know, I've seen the show. That's not where it came from. But
interesting.
Ziva is radiant, so radiant joy.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well thought about. That's awesome.
So there's the kids. Zoe does fabrics.
Okay.
So she does like rappelling from the ceiling on a fabrics thing.
Oh, she does.
She does that.
She's crazy.
It's like, all right,
Okay.
go get it.
Yeah.
Ziva does violin, piano. Both girls do piano.
Yeah.
She likes, if you know who Lindsay Sterling is.
I don't.
So it's violin, costumes, choreography.
Yeah.
I took the girls to go see that a couple of years ago, and Ziva just fell in love with the violin and likes that kind of that world.
Yeah.
And then the boys, it's more like Pokemon.
Yeah.
What can we turn into a gun? And
go shoot something.
yeah, where's the dirt that we can get into?
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Girls are here and boys are wherever. That's pretty cute.
Yep.
I love the violin. I mean, I don't play any music. I play guitar a little bit. I'm not good. I want to be, but the violin, man, is pretty amazing.
What's the very first one you learn? Like, it's not chopsticks, so that's not the right one. Hot cross buns.
There you go.
You
You can do that one, huh?
That's about the limit of my musical talent on the piano trying to keep up with them, but they'll sit down and they'll just play, and it's like, well, I don't have that.
Yeah, yeah. What's it mean to be a dad to you? And then also, how have you influenced your kids, kind of like your parents did to you, to be involved in something, probably work hard, play hard, but also be involved in something? What's that look like?
Well, those are two different questions.
I know. Well, packing those in, baby. So, yeah, what's it mean to be a dad to you?
It means you're responsible for little hearts. God's given you the gift of children, and or given me the gift of children, and a lot of other people. And okay, I've been entrusted with little hearts to nurture, to shepherd, kids to take care of, raise up to be contributing members of society, to be hopefully people that choose and love Jesus. That's important to my heart, but that's their decision, and I can't force that. And so I know I want to instill values. I want to pass on values. I want to pass on work hard, play hard. Maybe they can do it a little more relaxed than me, but I want to instill my faith. I want to instill a strong sense of family. But I only get to set the table. And after that, they get to take that and run with it and make their own decisions and be the people that God created them to be.
I like those words. You set the table. And I always say, kids often don't listen to what we say, but they always watch what we do.
They always
watch what we do. And I think that impact on your kids, what you said is beautiful. You're going to live out your faith the way you believe it. You're going to set the table accordingly. But at the end of the day, it's their choice. And yeah, you're going to be praying for them the whole way through.
Praying for them on the way here this morning, buddy.
Every moment, yeah. That's beautiful, though. I mean, but they're God's children, you know? Have you ever thought about that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, for me, when my wife and I first had kids, we couldn't have kids for like 4 or 5 years, and we finally had our first daughter. It's like, the conviction was, God was like you said, it wasn't audible, but like, hey, this is my daughter, buddy.
Yeah.
Take care of her.
She's on loan.
Yep. Read the scriptures to her and pray for her every day of her life. And so then we had a second daughter, Molly, and so Emily and Molly, and they're now 28 and 26. They both love the Lord. And it's not because of me. It's because what God has done through me and my wife, and, you know, leading by example. Not perfect, by the way.
Nope,
but
none of us are.
Right?
Somebody tells you they are. You're getting sold something.
Exactly. Okay, so the next question was, what was my question? You remember?
You asked about being dad.
Yeah, what's it mean to be a dad, which you unpacked a little bit.
Yep.
How have you impacted your kids, I guess, really to influence them? But you kind of already talked about that.
It's places where you're consistent.
Yeah.
You choose to love on other people. Hey, we're going to church because that's what we do. Not, do you want to go today? You know, we travel, we do stuff. We're out of town like anybody else. But when we're in town, we go to church because this is what we do Sunday morning, because you need that connection. You need that community. You know, and sitting and listening to one of Bruce Stephanic's sermons, man.
Come on.
Let's go.
Pastor Bruce.
Yeah,
I love
Pastor
that guy.
Bruce.
Yeah. How long have you guys been going to church on the hill?
I've been there 14 years.
Okay. A couple days.
Yeah.
Do your kids go to like a Sunday school, or do they stay in the service with you?
Depends on the kid. Depends on the week. My youngest struggles with time with dad. They live in 2 households. So any time he can get just next to me, around me, he craves that. Yeah. And so if he doesn't want to go to Sunday school, okay, bud, sit with me.
That's okay, man.
Come sit with me.
Yeah. But your other 3 kids like to go to Sunday school? Typically?
Zoe's age group doesn't have a Sunday school regularly. Not every Sunday.
Yeah.
But the middle 2 love going to Sunday school. And my mom serves down there, so they get time with grandma. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You mentioned travel. Tell me about travel. What's travel look like for you and your family? Where have you gone? What are your favorite places?
Oh, gosh. So where did travel start? That started with Dad and the work hard, play hard. I guess my first really big trip would probably be middle school. We went down to Belize on a missions trip to support a church body down there. Did some construction work because, well, that's what we know. And I grew up my dad going, if there was a need, he'd go. When there was flooding in Vernonia, I don't know if you remember that back in like the 90s, we were up there, we were helping people out. He went to Romania, took playground equipment over there to orphanages and installed the playground equipment at the orphanages as part of Northwest medical teams. And so this sense of laying down your life for other people and bringing good was instilled early and often. And so I've been to Mexico building houses. I've been places where you do street ministry. I've been, we went down to New Orleans after Katrina in our Corbin years. One of my buddies goes, I want to put a trip together. We're going to go down there and we're going to help the relief effort. And it's like, all right, let's go. Let's go.
Dang, man. Would you say, I mean, I love how your dad instilled that in you, like we're going, and you're still doing that. Is that, you think that's more of a calling, or is that just something you do occasionally? What's that look like for you?
No, that's not an occasionally. I think where it happens is less important than the consistency with when it happens to lay down your life for people. You can do that in your backyard. You can serve here. And lately, this phase of my life has looked more like board service and pouring into my kids than traveling places and building houses and cleaning up after disasters. And then if you're asking about the like travel in general, I've been very blessed. Bahamas, I've been to Portugal, I've been to Grand Cayman. We went up to Alaska to do some construction projects. Belize, Hawaii, a lot of travel. I've been to Israel.
Oh, you have?
If you're talking favorite places, that's one of them. Okay. And if you ever get a chance to go, if anybody else ever gets a chance to go to Israel. Understand both the hot spot politically and faith-wise in the world, but what a small place that is and how packed in it was. And if you're following Jesus, to put your feet where his feet were, it's hard to describe how much more alive that makes.
Yeah, the scriptures.
The scriptures.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely on my wife and I's list. We want to go. And in fact, we were probably going to go maybe in the last year. And then a lot of crazy stuff happened in the last year or so in Israel. So we'll see. Oh. But if it opens back up where we feel safe, then absolutely.
Well, I got to put one more plug in here for Reed Saunders.
Come on.
So 2005, I was in Uganda on a Reed Saunders trip. And man, talk about changing lives. That was a big one. Yeah.
All for Jesus, baby.
All for Jesus. Yeah. If you're ever around Reed, you hear that about 27 times.
You know Reed, all for Jesus. That's his tagline.
But when we were down in Uganda, one of the younger guys about my age, so there's about 4 people my age on this 2-week trip, and you do prison ministry, school ministry, medical, and then they do a big festival, Reed style, where he was younger then, but he'd run on the stage, jumping 360s in the air, all for Jesus, just on fire. We get back to the compound that we're staying at, and in the middle of the night, we're fooling around being young kids, and Carter goes back to his room, and he tells us the next morning, he walks in the door, Reed jumps out of bed and goes, Carter, are you saved? Carter goes, yeah, Reed. Yeah. Last time I checked. Reed goes back to sleep. He's like, dude, this guy evangelizes to people in his sleep.
In his sleep. He just doesn't stop.
It's just the wiring. And it's incredible.
Dude. It's just a one trip with Reed, or have you done more than?
I've done one trip with Reed. Yeah.
You said, what year was that?
2005.
2005.
Yeah. Then it was college and then married, kids.
Yeah. Life
and logistics get harder. So I'd love to do that again.
Yeah.
I'm not in a season right now where I don't think I can pull away from kids, from responsibilities, from work, from all that stuff for a 2-week trip right now. But I'd love to again in the future.
Yeah. Well, we'll pray about that and see what happens.
Absolutely.
Hey, walk us through. I know your dad passed away. You want to just dive into that a little bit? Maybe that season of life, the business that you guys owned. What's that look like?
Yeah. Well, if you know the Rasmussen family name in the business world, a lot of times that's modern building systems. Yeah. My dad was involved with that very early on, but he was bought out in the early 90s. And so he had construction companies. I grew up basically the kid of a general contractor. And we did some modular building stuff, but it was houses, schools, remodels, builds, all sorts of stuff all over the West Coast. And it was a work hard, play hard. He's 100 miles an hour all the time. So let's see, probably college. He had a condition that escalated. And so basically, his long story short, his bone marrow stopped producing blood cells. And so that meant his muscles were being starved for oxygen and nutrients and just in a lot of pain. He'd explain it like he felt like lava was running inside of his bones.
Horrible.
So you get up to OHSU. OHSU was like, hey, we don't know what caused this. We don't know what to do other than do a bone marrow transplant. Hopefully that fixes it. It's kind of try a big life-changing medical procedure and cross your fingers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Sure.
get desperate enough. So he did that. My uncle was the donor of the bone marrow, and so got to give life to his brother. My dad was on the recovery track after that, and to do bone marrow transplant, you got to go through chemo, wipe out your immune system. So it was like, it's not cancer, but looks a lot like cancer, if anybody's experienced that. So he was on the mend, and then he had a stomach issue, goes back in. They did a full body scan. They said, hey, you got lymphoma. It's everywhere. You got 3 to 5 days.
What? 3 to 5 days.
3 to 5 days.
Not weeks, not months.
Nope. Days. So, but I'm thankful in that season that we got that time. We got that snippet of time. It wasn't, a flash thing. It wasn't a building collapsing. It wasn't a drunk driver or something where someone's gone from your life instantly and you don't get that moment to connect. I've got a picture on my phone of my dad at OHSU, no more hair, hospital gown, tubes, this and that. But he got the chance to sit with my daughter and read her a book. And that was the last time he got to interact with my daughter. So that one's special. But yeah, it was 3 to 5 days, and then he got to go home. The Lord took him, and
just like that. Literally, he died within that amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But I look back. This is use this to say that how you frame things that happen in your life has a lot to do with how you frame it, how you want to look at it.
Yeah.
I look back and I see God's hand over that time period and giving us time with our dad and the finances that he took care of. My mom's totally fine today, not crippled with medical debt 10 years later, 12 years later. But all the things that he aligned. And I look back and I see that and I see God's fingerprints in it. And I know there's people who look back and say, well, I prayed for healing and healing didn't come. And so I'm out.
Really?
God doesn't care enough to do what I asked in this situation, so I'm out. And I understand that. I mean, I went through that. I walked that. I understand that. I am choosing to look at it in the rearview mirror differently. Mm-hmm. But man, I can understand where that comes from.
Yeah. I think you're right. The framing part, God didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes he chooses to heal you on earth, and sometimes he will heal you in heaven.
Calls you home.
And if we look at, if God only heals people on this earth and we pray for something, God doesn't answer the prayer the way we want, that's the wrong way to frame that, because then you blame God. And people say, I'm out. But God is a good God. God created you and I and your dad. It's God's choice to do what he wants, and he's going to do the way he wants to.
So there's another piece of that, talking to work hard, play hard guy. Yeah. When you go through chemo, you go through a bone marrow transplant, if you made it through lymphoma, and that life is not going to look the same after that. Yeah. And so this relates to watching my grandpa. He had strokes, and so he lost, brain matter through a number of those strokes. And you watch that health decline, you watch that ability decline, and you're like, well, praise God, he's here and we have the time. But this is not the same person. There's pre-stroke Don and Don Rasmussen, being my grandpa, pre-stroke Don and post-stroke Don. Mm-hmm. And so we didn't have to watch or deal with post-chemo dad. Yeah. He got to go 100 miles an hour, all out, and God called him home.
What a blessing.
And I don't mean deal with like you'd resent it. I mean deal like that's a shift in reality for somebody that wants to go 100 miles an hour, and then your body will not let you, and you just don't have that capacity anymore. And that, I could imagine that being a really hard thing to walk through. I could see some of it with my grandpa, but God called Dad home, and so we'll go meet him one day.
And how old was your dad when he passed?
52, 53.
That's young. Okay. Wow. Okay. And how old are you, Ryan?
How old am I?
Yeah.
I'm not 52
yet. I'm just checking, man.
With that, I think it was when I was turning 27, my uncle goes, "Oh, congrats, you made it halfway."
Okay.
A little dark humor in the family. I'm 38.
Okay. You're so young.
Yep.
Yeah. I honestly never thought I'd live to 50. I don't know why. I didn't think I'd live to 50. Well, then I turned 50 and now I'm 56. So I've got you by about almost 20 years. So
there you go.
Still alive and kicking, bud.
Well, that's why your kids are older than mine. So.
That's right. So where do we go from here? You want to talk about maybe work, the business? Do you want to talk about...
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack with business.
Fire away, man. For sure.
So I grew up contractor kid, running around, a lot of residential, commercial, educational construction projects. But my dad knew the modular building industry. And so essentially what that is you build buildings in boxes in a factory setting, controlled environment. Then you ship those boxes to site. Now, most people are going to see that in a classroom double wide or a contractor trailer that shows up on a job site and then gets yarded away at the end of the job. Yeah, modern did that. My dad grew up around that. But also, we built a lot of buildings that those boxes are like Lego bricks, and you stack them together. You stack them 3 stories. You can build a lot of buildings that look like they're stick built.
Really?
Like built on site from the get go. But we can get into modular, but I think the story here is something else.
Right.
But that's the industry that he came from, and so we dealt with that. I was in, on, under, around those buildings a lot, and this will come back into play in a second. But the brain worked with math and numbers, and got into taxes, got into public accounting. So I spent 10 years in public accounting, some of that in college, and then full time. And then got my CPA license, got a CVA license. So most people know CPA, certified public accountant. Yeah, I'm doing taxes, I'm doing financials, I'm doing that sort of stuff. CVA is a certified valuation analyst.
Interesting.
So business valuations. And that was a lot of fun.
It's a little higher level. I mean, that's interesting.
So if you come to me and say, well, what's the Buddy Puckett podcast worth?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's
Millions.
crunch these numbers.
Yeah.
It's all about your marketing team, I guess. But you crunch the numbers. Yeah. Okay, what's the cash flow? It's like a house appraisal.
Yeah.
But it's more difficult to do because, well, houses, you got more comparables than businesses. And sometimes you have a 1 in a million business, and how am I supposed to put a number on that? Right. Well, you do the best you can. And if you're willing to stand in a courtroom and testify to that number, you've done your job well.
There you go.
So that was a really interesting niche to work in and play in, and I was really enjoying that. While that was going on, my uncle and my cousins, my Uncle Jim and my cousin Alan said, hey, let's go to breakfast. Like, oh, breakfast with family? All right. Didn't think anything of it. We sit down, if you know White's downtown. Love
White's. I saw you there last week, man.
Yep, saw you there. So we're sitting at White's, and they're like, hey, we want you to come be a part of the modern team. Now, my dad was bought out in the early 90s, and my 2 uncles had run it 50-50 since then. Okay. So I didn't see a path to me being at the family business, but I knew the family business very well. That was a huge part of Grandma and Grandpa's lives. That was, cousins, uncles. It was the Rasmussen family name was basically synonymous with modern building systems. And so for them to say, hey, we want you to be a part of this legacy was like, whoa, all right. Okay, let me think about that. Let me pray about that. And I ended up joining Modern Building Systems in 2017. Out of public accounting and into being a controller, running, eventually it was like banking, insurance, all that sort of stuff. Some of those places I got to travel were a part of managing insurance. But payroll, HR, admin,
It's high level, man.
all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So we do that for a number of years. And then my uncle wanted to retire. The oldest my dad was the middle of the three brothers.
Okay.
And Jim's the youngest, Ken's the oldest. Ken wanted to retire. And so there were conversations, hey, what do we want to do with this? Is Modern going to get sold? Is it a family business? Is it kind of the Rasmussen legacy and we want to keep it small and local? Or do we go get dollars and cash out and move on and find other things to do with our lives? So we did some transition planning. Alan and I started working into ownership. But Jim was the controlling member after Kenny retired.
Okay.
And then Jim decided that he wanted to take the company to market and sell it. So Alan and I, for what was that, like October to August? So you're talking 10 months, basically packaged and sold the family company. Just quiet. None of the other employees knew. And so we were basically pulling double shifts. We'd work the day job and then we'd do that work. We'd have those meetings. Really interesting time. I was up to my eyeballs in that.
What year was this?
Too. That was 2023, basically.
So 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You were working 16 plus hours a day.
Yeah. We were. There was times we were at the office till 2 a.m. and we're back at like 7 or 8 because there was just that much to get done.
Yeah.
And we weren't pulling other people into it because if we didn't end up selling the company, we wanted it to continue running like none of that had ever happened. So you're doing all this extra work and going, so there's a scenario where I did all this and it goes away and we just keep running like we were anyways.
Yeah.
And so during that time, I was also going through a divorce. So divorce and then the sale of the family business. So, man, that took some wrestling with God.
Yeah.
You go, okay, what I thought my family looked like into the future is gone. What I thought being a dad looked like into the future is gone. What investment or business ties I thought I was going to have. I've been sitting with Alan. We'd had these discussions. What does this look like in 20 years? You and me, let's take this thing and run. That's gone. My day job, and if this thing sells, what am I doing? What does this look like? How do I fit into that scenario? So basically that's gone. Across the board, it was like a big reset button. And so, speaking of going back to Dad and how your perspective plays out, I could sit there and be angry. And I go, well, this is how I thought it would work. And it's not. And how dare you or the universe or God or how dare whoever or whatever. And you can get angry there. And I understand that. The world was blown up for me. But instead, okay, this is a big reset button. God, what are you doing? Where do you have me? Where are we going? I'm along for this ride. Just could I get a little bit, Lord, just a little bit of what this looks like, man?
Wow. Those were tough times, man.
Yeah. Really, really dark here.
Besides you praying to the Lord, who helped you through those times? You have a friend or?
We'll go back to White's.
Okay, White's.
So,
White's is a special place for you.
Yeah, there was 4 of us guys. I'll credit Jason Leon for putting this together. He calls them battle groups. And so he, me, and 2 other guys have met virtually every Wednesday since early 2023. And almost the entire time at White's. 6 a.m. You come on a Wednesday, 6 a.m. We'll be there.
Yeah.
And it's not like a formal Bible study.
Yeah.
It's let's do life together.
Yeah.
Let's not compartmentalize this to just Bible study or just, shooting the breeze with the buddies.
Right.
Let's do life. Where are you at? How can I pray for you? What's going on? What have you read, book-wise or in the scriptures or what's going on in life? How can we support you? Hey, let's go from here. Let's not just do breakfast. Let's do life together, man. And that tight-knit group and doing life together. We do vacations together and we spend time together. We're raising our kids together.
That's cool.
And that gives life.
Yeah.
And, that had a big piece to play with.
Okay.
While everything was blowing up, kind of holding it together a little bit.
Yeah, we can't do this alone. We're guys. We love to think that We're self-sufficient. We love to isolate, try to do it on our own, pull up our own bootstraps. But I know me, I need brothers to be around.
Yeah, there's a time and a place for that bootstrap thing, and sometimes you got to knock something out and get something done.
Agreed. But man, don't make that the priority of your life.
Life is best done with other people and in community and with connection, and don't miss that because you're pulling up on your own bootstraps.
But you're right. I mean, we're guys. We're still going to go do our own thing at times.
Oh, sure.
That's true. But that's heavy. Okay, so what do you do now? I mean, let's talk about what you do now.
Yeah. So the way Modern was set up towards the end, Jim, the uncle, was the CEO. Alan ran production. So the factory, transport, how do we build the buildings and get them to where they need to be?
Yeah.
And I ran all the admin stuff. So that's basically how it was set up. There's another VP, Ken Marrow, very key guy, long-time employee of Modern. So now at Will Scott, we're this weird one-off. Will Scott is a leasing company. Mm-hmm. They have modular buildings, they have containers, and they lease them. They're best in class all across North America. Big company. And then here's this little group in Amsville that builds stuff. And so there's been a lot of work integrating that into a company that doesn't have manufacturing facilities anywhere else. They're aware of custom projects and those sorts of things, but only as you go and order something from a factory and deliver it to a client.
Yeah.
So now we're doing it on the inside. Alan and I have done a ton of work integrating that, setting up systems. He was around for about a year and then stepped out.
Okay.
So now I run the manufacturing division for Will Scott, and it's out in Amsville.
Okay.
So I report back to a big publicly traded company. You can look it up. WSC is the stock ticker.
You own some of that?
I own some of it. Well, yeah. Do I have to mention that I'm vested in that or something?
Not at all. No, I'm just curious. I mean, I'll have to go buy some of that.
Yeah, I own some of that. Well, do your due diligence and make your own investment decisions.
Sure.
I'm not on an investment podcast here.
Yeah.
That's the CPA in me saying,
hey,
wait a minute.
Whoa, I'm not giving financial advice or
no
whatever.
Financial advice, no insurance advice. But that's the company and it's a big one. But I run a division that's atypical to that company. Mm-hmm. And it's fun. I really do enjoy it. I enjoy the team. I enjoy the legacy. It's got a different name on the front of the building. Yeah. And some days that's a little harder than others, but that place, that team, that pursuit is still the same place and team, essentially, and pursuit that I grew up with and I've known as basically synonymous with Rasmussen.
Well, what I appreciate about this is you framed it in a way that you're not a victim. Mm-mm. God still has a plan. God's still on the throne. Because here's the deal: if you're a victim, then you get to blame everyone else.
Right.
And a lot of us, I mean, I've played a victim before, but the goal is that I got to own my own stuff, not be a victim. It didn't happen to me. Life does happen. And by the way, we're on a fair playing field. I mean,
sure.
Everybody has challenges and problems, and I don't care how much money you got, how little you got. Look,
the problems are different. I mean, depending on who you're a neighbor with, or you have money or you don't have money, they both come with problems. Yep. And you may envy the other problem.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's any less of a problem.
That's right.
And the playing field isn't even for everybody, and we all start out at different spots. But own where you're at, own where you're going, own your passion, your mission, your direction, your decisions. That's on you. And you can make incredible things out of poor starting spots. You can make incredible things out of incredibly blessed starting spots. And I'm full disclosure there. I came out blessed, a family that loves God, work hard, play hard, and created value for our family and the people around us. And I've done my best to do that in the footsteps of my father and my grandfather and the rest of the family. So it's I have to own that. Yeah. But that was a legacy that was set up for me. Hey, this is a good name and it's worth more than silver and gold and dollars.
Amen.
And pursue that. Pursue good for the people around you. if you ask me, like my purpose, I view that as bringing talent or bringing value and opportunity to those around me. So that maybe at different times and places look like my family or my church community or my greater community or my company or whatever place I'm put in. How do I apply myself to bring value and opportunity to those around me?
I'm going to start hanging around you more, man. You're a good guy. I appreciate that. I don't think everybody believes that. I mean, I don't think people live that way. A lot of people, there's probably a lot of people that do, but also a lot of people that don't.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so you're in a really good season, and you're a guy that likes projects. So you got 100 different projects going on. We can either talk about that, but and I really want to end up what's coming next. I know there's something coming, so I want to talk about that too.
What's coming next? Yeah, there's a lot of projects, and those are projects. Everybody's got projects. Build something. Doing a house remodel or building a shop or pursuing a business opportunity. Yeah, there's always that.
Yeah.
But man, those come secondary to what's next.
Tell me what's next.
And that's looking forward to getting married.
Yeah.
July 12th.
July 12th.
God's brought an incredible woman into my life. 2 kids. She's chosen me. I've chosen her.
Yeah.
And we've chosen each other's kids. And that's a big ask. You go into it, hey, will you pick me? Oh, and all them.
Yeah. Well, this is like a Brady Bunch, man. There's 6 of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're not the first to say that. Little squares, and we're all looking at each other. Yeah.
That's pretty sweet, though.
So her kids are 5 and 7.
Sweet.
So her 7-year-old, he's the same age as mine, Ezra, and Jamie's her 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to doing life together.
How long have you guys dated?
Not very long.
So, when you know. I mean, I don't think it matters.
But we're both not the people like, well, the stars align and the universe brought you to me and it's just the one.
Yeah.
Man, if you're looking for the one out of billions of people, you get so wrapped up in your own head. This is my opinion, and you can disagree with me, but you'll get so wrapped up in, well, are you the one or are you not the one? And I think there's so much more value in, can we choose each other? Yeah. Because it's not always going to look perfect. Nope. And if I'm looking for the one, and now it's not perfect, now I'm second guessing, are you actually the one, or is the one of the other 8 billion people out there?
That's right.
But if I choose you and you choose me, and we're choosing to do life and pursue Jesus together, then when it's not perfect, I get to make that decision. And I get to lay down my life for you again and again and again, and you for me, rather than saying, well, I mean, if this isn't good enough for me, maybe you're just not the one.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot more to do with choosing and knowing that you're aligned, not just, hey, that looks, your life looks fun, throw me in it. No, I want to choose to pursue Jesus with you. I want to choose to pursue you. And that might look like X, Y, or Z. That doesn't matter. Yeah. Because what it looks like is a lot less important than where I'm headed with you.
Yeah. How'd you meet her?
Facebook.
Hey.
She knew my sister.
And did you know you were looking, or do you just like, were you?
No, actually, I wasn't really looking.
I mean, you're a busy guy. You have 4 kids, guy. And
Well, you go through a really, really bad divorce.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's not everybody, but for me.
Yeah.
There was a time where like, dude, I am not doing that again.
Ever.
I'll run this out solo. I don't want to do that. I want nothing to do with the terrible things that I had to walk through. But after a little while of doing it solo, you're like, yeah, maybe solo ain't the where it's at. God created us for community.
Yeah.
God created us to live in tandem with one another. And, a dog only goes so far on that scale.
Yeah. And the tricky thing in marriage, I talk about marriage a lot with my buddies and my golf buddies and you or whoever, because marriage isn't easy.
No.
And I think the idea of dying to self to remain married, because you can't marry thinking that she's going to serve you. That she's not That's not why you get married.
You can, and it looks like what marriage looks like in society at large right now.
Right.
Hey, you seem like a good addition to me.
Yeah.
And then 6 months later, 3 years later, you're no longer a good addition to me, and maybe I need to find a different addition.
A new one, yeah.
That's how that plays out.
I think it's funny. My wife and I talk a lot about this. Like, that's what guys want. I think I ultimately wanted that. I want this perfect wife that did everything.
On the arm.
And realize that's not even true. I mean, Jesus came to serve and not be served. I literally said to myself every day, Jesus came to serve and not be served. I'm supposed to love my wife as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her.
Yes. And how do I do that? And what does that look like? That doesn't look like, you're cute enough on my arm today.
Well, it's not just a Bible verse that I memorized, but what does that mean? How do I unpack that? How do I live that out? Whew. And that's...
Oh, that takes some guts right there to do that.
Oh, there's a book I read recently. It's a marriage book, but I can't remember the actual name of it. But it says, what if marriage was to make you holy and not to make you happy?
I know exactly that quote. Well, marriage is designed to make us holy, not happy. Yeah. It brings you closer to God because God and the church are the picture of marriage.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does God love the church? Man, he died. He rose again, and he came from on high and laid down deity, and he laid down his life as a human here for the church. So, you willing to do that, buddy?
Lord knows I'm trying, man. But
ask me again in 5 minutes.
Exactly. But here's the deal: we can't do it on our own.
Yeah.
It's only as we surrender and allow the Holy Spirit to work in our lives can we actually do that.
Yeah.
See, I can't pull my bootstraps up on that one. I've tried.
No,
it doesn't work for me.
That's not a bootstrap.
Maybe there's other guys out there who can do it.
There's an element of bootstrap, I guess, of no, I'm going to grit my teeth and I'm going to make this decision because this is the right decision. But beyond that, man, if you're trying to run that out solo, you're not going to do it very well.
Well, I think to your point,
generally speaking,
that's a big word, decision. I decided. I mean, every time I hear somebody who they conquer something, in the word, they always say, I decided to do X. Yeah. So I decided to follow God or Jesus. Yeah. Okay, good. Did you? That's the decision. I'm all in. Now, what does that mean? Here's where the work begins. But it's the Holy Spirit in me that allows me to.
See, and that's where I asked, did you? Yeah. Did you decide that just out of the blue one day? You decided.
Yes, I did.
Or was God there walking along with you, prompting you, bringing the story together to the point where, all right, all the pieces are in place, and this is the place where Buddy makes his decision, or Ryan makes his decision.
100%.
I think it's both and.
It's both and.
Not,
exactly.
I'm just walking along and I have a great idea one day.
Well, God prepared good works for that we would walk in them, right? This is Ephesians 2:10.
Yeah.
God did it all. I just showed, he drew me in, and I said, yes. Right. And so that's it. But, well, brother, we're going to wrap up here in a moment, but, any last thoughts, or I don't know.
I'm not going to beat that quote, with?
Man. What's that?
I'm not going to one up your quote that you brought to the table of a marriage making us holy, not happy.
Exactly.
Those are deeper thinkers than me.
No, you're a deep thinker, man. What's the final thought that you have, though, just to kind of recap everything?
I guess in my story, it's how do you frame things? And then what's your pursuit? Are you pursuing the next dollar for the next boat? Or are you pursuing good for those around you? And then looking backwards, how do you frame your life circumstances? Is it a launching point? Is it a reset? Is it or is it a disaster and you're a victim and, just roll over?
Right. Yeah.
And that's, like you said, that's a decision. I can pick either one of those, but I'm going to choose to view it as a launching point, and it's something that's going to build character and deepen my relationship with God and with the people around me. Yeah. And I'm going to use it to my advantage and to the kingdom's advantage in that way. Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap up right now, but there's a lot to unpack here. And I like what Ryan said, a good name is better than gold or silver. Mm-hmm. And I'd leave you with this here is if you ever find yourself blaming somebody or something, you had to first become the victim. So
blaming doesn't solve any problems. It means that you're not owning your own stuff. So rethink this, reframe your thoughts or your whatever's happened to you, and reconsider, right? So, well, thank you for being here this week. We appreciate you. If you'd ever like to be on the podcast, we'd love to have a conversation with you as well. Reach out. I'll put my phone number or email in the show notes. I'd love to hear from you. And again, thank you, Ryan, for being here this week. We appreciate you.
Thanks, buddy, for the conversation, the place to share a little bit of my story, and learn more about each other. Appreciate it.
Well, hey, I'm praying for you and your soon-to-be new wife. Praying for your 6 kids.
6 kids.
Yeah. Hey,
we got a new car, so we all fit in one vehicle.
You got a big car, man.
Yeah.
But God is good, and we're all gonna go through hard times. And I really appreciate you. For me, just you've gone through a couple hard years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just call it what it is, and you're not bitter.
No.
So I love that. So thank you, Ryan. We appreciate you. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much.
Thanks.